What up guys, Jordan here, and really quick before this video, I wanted to talk to you guys about AT&T's fiber internet services. Now, before AT&T decided to sponsor me at all, I've already been using AT&T fiber at home, and not only do I stream live on Twitch, Truth is also out there streaming her own videos on the TV. We have multiple devices connected, and everything is running flawlessly. And it's not just about the speed, it's also about the reliability. I can confidently perform streaming multiple games, different devices with confidence. If you want to check out more about AT&T fiber, and if you want to see if it's available in your areas, head to the link in the description down below. We'll have it nicely there for you guys, and let me know what you think. If you already have AT&T, we'd love to hear your feedback. Enjoy the video, guys. When you make another N0thing's news video soon, guys. I've just been on the DL with like the YouTube content. I'll get back to it though. I told most of you I bought a house, so now I'm moving in a week, and I've just been doing a lot of that, getting that ready, and then quite frankly, just the holiday season, all these family and friends in town that I haven't seen, and there's so many different things happening. I got scammed for about $230 worth of skins, and I don't feel like playing. I don't get how people get scammed. The only way I understand how people get scammed is if your account gets hacked. Like Stewie got his account hacked, and they just traded themselves skins. How the fuck do people get scammed? Is it because someone says, hey, I'll give you this for this, and then you trade them something, and they're like, just kidding, peace? Because then you're dumb. I just don't get it though. Please educate me, because I don't know. I don't trade and like deal in this industry. How's one Deagle? Like, you see how I was missing a lot of those like headshots, but watch if I just take my time. See how the second I start getting even a hair faster, they become more inaccurate, because the Deagle has a lot of movement penalty. So if you're even moving a little and you don't stop long enough, or you just run a headshot, I guess, sometimes, and you get lucky, but there's a movement penalty. I'm hitting the opposite strafe before I shoot every time. So if I'm going right, if I'm holding A right here, D shoot, A shoot, D shoot, A shoot, D shoot, A shoot, right? So if I'm holding D, right, A shoot. It's obvious, I don't even know that. I'm just saying, you have to make sure you do that. My forearm gets tired, that's why I stopped like flicking around. Is there any visible difference between 140 and 240 hertz? Yeah, definitely. For me, it's worth it. For you, it might not be worth it. You know, if I can get in a smoother gameplay and a smoother experience, you know, the same reason it's worth it for me to use fucking 7-8 mouse pads a year is different for you, right? The same reason I have a sheet full of mouse skates and replace the skates in my mouse anytime I don't like how it feels is different for the average person, unless they want to spend money on that thing. Same reason I have 3 240 hertz monitors when it's not necessary is the same reason that you probably wouldn't, unless you care that much, right? I'm not bragging, it's just because I do this for a job, right? Do you believe your aim is still professional level? Oh yeah, fuck yeah. And I mean, the thing is like, if you watch what I'm doing right here, these small movements, a lot of times these are all you need. Is you're aiming like this. This field of view is mostly where you need control as a pro. The reason some pros are phenomenal and insane is because some people have this aim, right? Like, I could name a handful of people on top 10 teams, right, that don't have as finesseful aim and a small FOV as me, but are maybe considered more impactful because of the way they play in their role. Because there's a limit to what your control is with your aim in a certain field of view that really matters at that level. It's decision-making, positioning, and team strategy and cohesion that play a role into how much opportunity and impact you have in each game, right? For instance, some players are just wild. Like Shroud, so this is like my field of control. I'll actually very finitely show you what my field of control is. It's here to there. That's where I could comfortably snap. See how I narrowed it down and I snapped symmetrically in between each one of those spots from there to there? That's my range of control. So whenever I'm trying to like play, for instance, an aim and get comfortable kills, I try to make sure that like the enemy is in like the smallest range of control as possible when I'm using my arm. That's why people say, are you a wrist or an arm aimer? I'm trying to use my arm to get me as tight as I can in my range of control. So if an enemy is right there, when I flick with my arm, I obviously want to be as close as I can to that, but that's where the arm and wrist hybrid comes from, right? Is you have a range of control. And so even if he's here and I flick to there with my arm, see how fast my correction was? So he's here, I flick with my arm, I'm still on the spot I want to aim because that's my range of control. But the more you practice at aim, the smaller you want your flick error to be, because that's when you die, is when you're playing against other good players. I can't have him be there and me flick there and correct and still get the kill. On land against a top 10 team player in the world, I'm going to get like 40, 50 damage off and he's going to kill me. So that's why when they say practice your aim, it's not necessarily just me just shooting standing still people. I could blast people all day and look world class, you know, on this range. But it's more about like expectation versus reality versus being ready for that, right? So if I come around the corner on Cat on Dust 2 and I pre-aim right here and have to snap over there, there's a good chance that guy kills me. So that's why they say game sense is a big part of it. And aim only has a certain limit. Because there's a lot better people, or a lot of people that have worse aim with me that are fine on a pro team because the role they have, a lot of times they're coming around the corner and the guy is within this range of their aim and they just have to shoot them and control them at the distance they're at. And it's like, really the skill set then is how confident they are even though their aim isn't as good as other people and how well they're positioning themselves to get kills, right? So a lot of you out there who are in like the lower mid tier of aiming, you gotta maintain confidence because the only way to actually compensate for your poor aim is to which is ironic, is to play a little bit more confident because confidence is gonna give you into scenarios where you should be, right? If you're not playing confidently, you're not gonna find opportunities where you are in your field of control, right? So if there is a guy right here, even though your aim's not that nuts, you know you're decent enough to just say this is the corner to pop around and spray him in the knees if you need to, but at least your crosshair was on him and you shot fast enough to get the kill. A lot of people think they need to destroy people to get the frag. Just because you see pros come around the corner and immediately shit on someone like that, it doesn't mean you're playing against people at that level, and it doesn't mean they're going to hit that shot on you if your movement stays fresh and you just simply spray them down. So a lot of you guys who are struggling with aim confidence, just try to focus on your positioning and crosshair placement and timing and confidence, because then it's like, okay, even if I know my spray's ass, I'm going to aim at his dick and I'm going to come around the corner and I know he's right here and I'm struggling and he's dead, right? Because if your pre-aim is on point, chances are if this guy's waiting for you to come around the corner and he doesn't know when you're coming around the corner, his reaction might be a little delayed and his aim might not be perfect, and then you get the frag and then you're like, whoa, I'm playing more confident, I'm using my head more, and I'm not worried about my aim, and I'm actually averaging 2 more kills a half, 4 more kills a game, 10 more ADR around, whatever, right? Do you flick watching target or relax eyes in the center of the screen? So that's why my eyes need to stay relaxed. I think everyone has a different relationship to their crosshair, which is why I like to use a larger crosshair. For some reason, because I played 1.6, the crosshair gaps were always like this in 1.6. When you're running around, the crosshair gap was like this big, maybe even this big. So what I got used to doing is letting my eyes wander. I'll put console up. Letting my eyes wander like in this range and sometimes even bigger to my full range of control. Keeping my crosshair while my eyes are over here. I try to keep my crosshair on whatever I'm kind of looking at. So if I'm going to look at that CT as I come around this T, I'll kind of have my crosshair on it, but my eye might be floating over here a little if that's an area where his teammate could peek from as well. So I'm like, all right, I think he's here, but he could be over here. My eyes are kind of like in between both, but my crosshair is where I think the first danger is. And the gap in my crosshair is comfortable to me because I like placing the center of my screen on the object, and it doesn't really matter. The gap helps me let my eyes wander more. When my gap is like this, for some reason, my eyes get too focused on my crosshair. So my field of vision comes in, and my range of comfort gets smaller the more precise my crosshair is because my eyes are trying to be more precise. Now, I'm sure with time, if I train myself, I could relax my field of view and my range of control, and I could get used to a smaller crosshair, which I've done lately on stream. My crosshair size used to be 5, and for fun, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to train myself down to 3.5 and 3-ish when I try to, right? So my crosshair gap, sometimes I make it smaller when I'm feeling on point, but lately I've felt good with like at least a 1.
Okay, repeat that one part that you started about with, and then go on from there.
What up? Got the stream on?
I mean, you were just talking in here too, so I figured you were on stream.
Oh, I have voice activation on? I do that for Call of Duty. So chat, this is why you tune into my stream early too. I generally do those rants where I talk about like development and stuff like that. I mean, advice in the early on in the stream, because once I start playing, focus on the game, run out of juice, sometimes it'll translate while I'm playing. Like if I'm playing a pug, I'll talk a lot while I'm playing, if it's like a casual one with my buddies. But once I play like FPL or Rank S, it's hard for me to teach as I play, because Stu is good, but sometimes I feel like he gets too aggressive sometimes when he opts. That's his style. He is 1 over 1 million, so who am I? So this is the thing. One of the reasons Stu has benefited Liquid, and it's very hard for him to like, he's still learning every tournament how to like maintain this, is like, he's one of the people who makes plays, get infos, and makes calls for their team. Like he says a lot of input for their team. So I think what he realizes is sometimes when their problem in the past was choking, essentially, right? So I think what he does is he's kind of like a spark plug for their moments when they're getting over the hump. Like that round he had on Vertigo when he went and walled device, opt another guy, and then they won the round. And they were having struggled, what'd they lose, like 8 T rounds in a row at that point or something? Maybe they won 1 out of the last 8. So I think the problem is he realizes how important not only his in-game is, but his energy is to getting his team over these rounds where they're in these situations where they have 14-7 and then it's 14-8, 14-9, 14-10, and then all of a sudden it's 14-12, And they're like, okay, well, we're getting stagnant and they're countering us. Stu takes this role of, hey, I'm gonna like try to like do something that out of what we've been doing and get a frag, or tell the team to try something that I think is a gap in like what they're doing, or he thinks he has a read on what they're gonna do next. And like I think some of the issue he runs into is like, it's first of all, it's hard to be on point in that kind of role 24/7. So, like, it's never going to look glamorous. He's already not, like, one of the star fraggers on the team, right? You have Twists, Elige, and Naf, who generally have, like, roles like Elige likes doing his thing, Twist likes doing his thing, Naf has his thing. Stu's kind of like this glue X factor. I think his flaws and when he looks dumb or something in game to you guys watching is because he's trying to cue his team into that next round momentum. He's trying to get them into the game, and occasionally what happens is he gets caught in that mindset, and he gets caught. It's so hard to read the round sometimes at that level at LAN, and you're fighting your own emotions like, oh, is this a dumb play? Is that a dumb play? You have to quiet your mind, and you're just trying to listen to your intuition. And so that intuition that is him trying to spark plug the round might make him just make an aggressive peek and die. And from an outside perspective, you're like, whoa, I watch pros all day, and I see pros make way better plays than that. Because a lot of times these pros are just doing like Cold Zero, for instance. You rarely ever like watch him and be like, I don't like what he did there. Because it just looks cozy what he's doing. Everything looks cozy and he's just playing. Stu could probably do himself a favor on like T-sides when he's not opping. He could probably be like alive more and get himself into late round situations more, and he'd be really good at closing. But the problem is quite frankly, one of the flaws of Liquid is they don't always take initiative. They have Elige and Stu. And then if Nitro's like focused on calling and Twist is not necessarily an aggressive player, he's just really an aimer, you run into this problem where people aren't taking enough initiative. They're so good. When teams give them space, they're insane because they could just take map control, and when everything's set up properly and you're flashing for Elige to fly in, Elige is just fucking tank laser beam. He just flies in and just fucking snaps, and then they make space, right? But the Danes, what they do really well on CT side is they're very dynamic on CT side. They move around the map well, and they make it hard to read what setup they're going to do each round, and Device will just find that off kill. So that's why I think like sometimes if Stu doesn't have an op on T side versus like an Astralis, they should probably set up in scenarios where they don't rely on him to make some play. And the problem is I don't know if that's part of their game plan.